for today's game improvement fact, when I discovered fascia dynamic trains and all this other stuff, where things pivot, how everything we do athletically is controlled in the knees, so forth and so on. Very few people have asked me this, but I actually had a guy ask me, where did I video from? Well, after you sit and think about what view would give you your best three-dimensional, five-dimensional, 12-dimensional, not one-dimensional view of a golf swing. What if you tracked and repeated over and over and over again, would repeat over from this angle, from this angle, from this angle, would be, and that's, doesn't have to be square this way, but this view. You've got both what happens on the right side, left side, through the ball. You can tell at impact if this thing's square, open, closed, hooded, let's just say shaft leaned and open, shaft de-lofted and square. Like in putting, everybody goes and practices putting. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to find and control the path the end of this thing goes on. In golf and putting, you would want the face, not toe up, not toe down, but the surface you're hit on, a level, and here's a flaw in putting. Everybody's putter has loft. Be optimum if it had negative loft, that way you could negatively loft it and put roll on the ball and it will roll square. What I mean by that. So if you're toe up and you hit this thing toe up dead square with a putter, you put an angle of deflection on it that creates this kind of roll or that kind of roll. It doesn't create that kind of roll. So level and forward will create this. Level and up creates this. And once it skips, it comes out. So the full swing is no different than putting. Now, while I'm a very big Gary Edwins fan, huge, if there was a methodology out there, if I didn't know what I know and I taught it, it would be Gary Edwins. I thought about it. The problem was that Gary got hung up on lines through the body, shaft plane lines, so forth. When you understand it, what I used to do was I would sit here and hit golf shots, and I would, wherever the head of this thing traveled, created a shape. It would be an upside down C or a U, or if it stopped, then I'd track it. All right? And I realized if this thing stayed, I would start the club head first to get it up here on the, even if I did it this way or that way, it's up here on the level of the end of my arms, basically my hands. Now, there was times I felt the parallelness of the head and the shaft to my forearm joint. Well, I don't call this a wrist. This is a forearm joint, because your wrists are small bones in the lower part of the hand. These are finger bones here, finger bones here. So the moral of the story is there was times, yes, I felt it parallel, but that was when I did not. I had to think about that. It's not magic. It's what's magic is understanding from this view. If I put the head through the same line, even if it's on this line on this one, but the next swing it's on this, to you that's a shallower plane. To the club head, if you move it straight back and straight forward, if I move it this way, even though when I angle it in, it's still on the same, all of them, if they're this way, come back awesome that way. So I figured out real quick. So everybody used to, man, you come back on playing this way. Well, this is how I saw my golf game from this view. I understood what this was doing. I understood the first move was a club head getting up here with the hands. Now, in the beginning, they would get to like right here or right there. As these joints got looser, you see now how I don't like that. I want to keep them there. As all this is swinging away, driven, believe it or not, by your knees. Pivoting here, so forth, so on. So, the more balanced I got this, and when I brought it up, it was balanced between, it was not pulling one way or the other. Now, as I would start down, all this would tend to for whatever reason, it tends to line up and load, not line up, but this part of our body, this segment, in Hogan's book, he did this for the plane. What that means is as everything's just wanting to swing, and because it's stuck to this, what keeps it on this angular motion that looks like on plane is this arm. My elbow joint, that arm joint does this. It does a lot of things, but it keeps it on what you would call a plane. I was keeping it on an arc. I live in the world of angular momentum. I don't live in the world of centrifugal force. Now, I've got two buckets. I've got two potting plant buckets, half gallons, two different places. What I used to do is, all right, what's my goal? My goal is to have that ball stop up against that bucket, both of them. So, this is important. So for most people, they go to the range and they want to hit it and fly it to that bucket. And they do. They shoot it, it's whatever. It flies there, but it keeps going. They go, man, I'm on today. They go play golf and shoot a bunch. When you're a high-level player, like myself or anybody, it's about this thing stopping right up against that bucket. So what you immediately figure out is, okay, it's been wet, yard soft, where does this gotta land for it to boom, boom? And as you start landing it, it's gonna get different kicks. Well, you start learning how to aim for that down here. You start learning how to, for each shot, one's shorter, one's longer, this thing's gonna stop in different locations. All right. Now, while I understand, I feel it in this part of my body going through, because I'm focused on this thing stop. When I go, I know that my knee's actuated in this, I'll make a golf shot. All right. I know if I was gonna map out anything, it would be, how did this thing go through and where did it finish? Did it finish that way, that way, that way, that way? And all these are shot shape. All right. For this, it would just be finish. All right. Because it's not gonna, you're not putting enough anything on it for it to move. So, I also know that when I do this, when I make it look seamless, one piece, all right? Whenever I narrow the radius of this club head makes, I hit it much shorter than if I were to not do this. How do you know the difference? All right, this would be the shaft and head pointing straight out of a end of my forearm segment like this. That would be my forearm segment just square. This would be my thumbs hinging, not my wrist, my thumb. So how you see some people create massive amounts of what looks like lag is their thumbs do this. Now, when you do this, when I create lag, I hit it 40 to 60% shorter than when I don't create. Now, when I just do this and I realize I'm not trying to create lag, but I'm controlling that. I can speed up these in order to get the same thing as if I were to just swing them. All right, so this one is going to be, see with the club head's going through the brick. If I just swung these and didn't, I swung this club head on a bigger, it's now further that way. When I do this, I'm very, very, very accurate throughout the bag. I already understand I'm not as powerful, or how do I say this? I have to go at it more when I do this to hit a 7 iron, 200 or 180 or whatever. Whatever the yardage is to hit that club as I would this way where I can barely swing at it because but when I don't get the weight of the club head up here with the hands and moving with the hands and body and upper arms and this and yada, 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 it's tugging and pulling on me and I'm all over the place. So this practice session would be, when I get done, I will look at, that's why I just sit there and hit them one after the other. Why was because I told myself, if this works, then I ain't got time to sit here and worry about how I set up. It's got to just work. It's got to be automatic to where when I'm playing golf, I think of a shot, all right, this is going to hit short, boom, 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 stop, or let's just say I'm on a hard course where it's way short and run it up, whatever. What you know you have to tend with down there dictates everything this thing does. And only what this thing does, the path. Again, from this view, I used to feel like from this view, the toe, as it blew by the caddy, would look at this part, would look at the caddy, ball would go straight. It would be looking to the right of the caddy, ball would fade. It would be looking left of the caddy, ball would draw. Simple. This view gives you 12 dimensions. Up, down, side to side, left, right, shift, no shift, center, sway, whatever. Gives you all the information you know for a golf shot. This view does not give you anything. It doesn't give you anything of value. Now that my clubs are, when I lay them down, they're automatically square, I can just hit shots. Everybody else has got to adjust after each shot, grab it different, because the clubs are all out of square. So I just set it down. When I do, it's already aiming at my thing. A little bit long. functionally just hitting these shots using my knees, proprioception of my knees. Because I understand my functional lines are in control of my sprite. All these arm, they're all going to pivot from here. My knees are connected to my shoulders in front and back, and therefore the stuff that's in my arm lines is connected to my arms. I get it. I don't ever play golf with my wrist. Now I'm starting not putting the club behind the ball. I'm just setting it down and going. My dispersion until I got there was kind of left and right a little bit, 5-6 feet. Now it's a foot and right at it. Don't know why that works out like that. Never have figured it out. Just know you'll see pros, you'll see people put the club here. The ball, so that means they're setting up to the golf club. That's an afterthought. So they're don't know how they do it because it forces you to all over the place. Now I'm going to try to hit these short. I'm going to hop up. So I'm going to put it, the golf ball will be closer to my right knee. Pour a hole in the carpet. I'm going to put it outside because it's still hitting soft. I want it to. But I'm going to lean, de-loft my level grooves. There we go. There we go. Now the club head's going to go to about right here and stop. On video, if it's stopping anywhere in this a zone about this big, unless I hit it bad, I'll indicate that. But I realize that when we stop the momentum, it's going to be anywhere from here to here for that shot. It all depends on when my cerebellum smooth fluid and accurately times it. One swing will be a little bit more because of where it stopped. One will be a little bit less, but it's just effort. You can't see it. You can only kind of barely feel it. Now what I don't like hitting off of mats and a hard surface is this thing will bounce through pretty square every time. I want this, when this thing cuts, because the way my club's lofts are now level on ground, this thing when it penetrates through, you control it more. This way, when this thing hits, it could bounce a little bit either way. It really doesn't kick it perfect. But when you don't have a hard flat surface under it, these things will penetrate muy bueno. It's just my yard's real soft. I've taken a lot of divots the last few months. I want to wait for the grass to grow. Little runners here. So I'm laying the grooves back. In this view, straight back. I'm not opening up, I'm adding loft. Opening up would be add loft and move them, so it'd be that. So instead of the grooves pointing this way, they're now pointing off that way. Mine are pointing that way and still, so it requires the shaft to back up. What it's allowing me to do is be aggressive to these two shots. Same amount of this, it's just unless you can see the angle backwards versus in the beginning it was more here, now it's more here. It's got to be automatic, you can't set it. Can't worry about it. Now I'm starting to hit it high. I don't want to sacrifice my height. It means I'm trying to show you too much. I'm going to go back to just barely kicked. There we go. There's a hole right here. I made it in the carpet and it's catching this, and when it does that to the face. Right in that hole. So golf for me is here, not up here, not up here. It's, I can drop this way with my knees and hit it. Most stories, they're not trying to send me right or left. They're signaling everything to go in motion. They know the pivot's here. They know these are going to swing. They know I got spiral lines. They know all this. That's why I could go this way, and all these things do what they do. I don't ever feel weight shift, ever. But I just let them do. On flat ground, they do it one way. On each lie, they go a different way, but it looks like the same golf swing. as they become more right at the target and it's getting like this, I realized that from impact to here was the same thing. I started controlling that. That's what controlled down there. Or how do I say this? My brain thought in order to hit this way you won't, it controls that. I look at a spot I want to land and skip into the do its deal. Now I'm just thinking of a different way to fly the ball and doing it. These are little outward shoves, which you would think would draw it, but what it actually I'm doing when it hits, it's spinning it that way. Things I come to realize, but what I'm doing here is affecting down there. I'm not trying to affect the shape of the shot, I'm trying to affect the bouncing, which way it rolls. Because there's times, there's a pin I don't like, especially with a wedge. Either if I have a slope, or then I'll hit it here and spin it, or if it's go. Now I'm going to just lay in these soft. Short. Put on line. That'll be money. 2 feet short. More of the story is I'm tickled. I got a 2-footer. Pin high, 3 feet left. Right at it, 2 feet short. Right on it. A foot left. Perfect pin high. So the balls are kind of plugging today. There's no bouncing. Anyway. So as you get into full shots, it wouldn't change for me. All right, cool. Those are all left edge of the tree. Now the first balls I hit were hard balls. I don't play hard balls. I play anything soft. I play true softs. So it's a different world. It's a different energy transfer with softball. That's you, that's me, that's anybody. So I will review these. Actually, I won't because I was talking to you. But on my old practice sessions, I would review. I would sit there and I'd take my time and do it. I'd go fast. It didn't matter. I realized golf shots aren't gonna let you screw it up. Focusing on where you want to leave it predicts all that. Predicts all that. Predicts all that. Control your divot by understanding the 6D reality of that camera view. Enjoy.